Is that live? Hello, anyone in stream can confirm that I am live or not? Can you hear me? Ah, good grief. That is absolute nonsense. Hello, anyone in stream can Alright, let's put the music back on. Good grief, man. So that's not an OBS issue. That's definitely a YouTube issue. I had to open the stream twice at the same time and force it. I didn't even know. I didn't even know exactly what I was up to there. I was just going back and forwards between every setting I could find. That was nonsense. That was absolute stupid. So I opened up the stream control page twice at the same time, and on the second one it says that the stream key was in use. Do I want to hijack it again? Basically use it on the second one, kind of take control of it on the second one. So I selected that, and that made it work. That whole thing is weird. I do not know. That music is way too loud. Why are you so loud? Quiet down. Stressing me out with being loud. That was just, everything about that was weird. I'm now annoyed and confused, and we had a problem last week, but that was definitely OBS. And we fixed it. We sorted it out. And I went through the settings and I made sure that all the settings were correct, and I tested it and it came out just fine. And then today I came on a bit early. I came on 15 minutes early just to make sure that we could start the stream on time and there'd be no hiccups. What is it, 1:15? I've been here for half an hour trying to get that to connect. That is just nonsense. No, Clove, this is not OBS. This was a YouTube issue. OBS was putting out just fine. Last week was definitely an OBS issue. This week was a YouTube issue. I'm sure of it. Used NVIDIA Overlay or Streamlabs. I'm old. I can't handle learning a new bit of software. I don't know how to use the software I'm already using, let alone new bits of software. Right. Given that that little disaster is over, so apparently the bitrate has tanked. One of the things I did trying to get the stream up and running was I lowered the bitrate to see if that helped. It didn't. How is that affecting the quality of the stream? Can you still see, if I put models here, can you still see the models? Can we get focus? Let me get the focus on it first. How's the audio? Is the audio kind of... There you go. Can you see a model with all the detail therein? As long as it's acceptable, we shall just carry on with today, and I will fight with settings again during the week. Given that I've already done that once, I'm not particularly happy with having to do it again. Clovex says everything looks alright, audio is fine too. Good. Just that a little bit. Andre says, "You're old. What am I? You're as old as you feel, and I feel older than the hills. Audio is fine. Modelers in focus. Okay. As long as we've got acceptable video and audio, that's okay. We can get stuck in. So after last week's stream, I got all of these. I've done the very heavy, very dark wash on them, and so that armor highlighting that I did beforehand is looking pretty good. It's tied itself in nicely, just like I wanted to. So we can move on to the edge highlighting for them, which will probably be most of the rest of the work. We've also got the bat things, which have a lot of the color fade has disappeared. Basically, it looks the same from the tip of the wing all the way up to just below the shoulder, and then we only have this little highlight here. It does look good, but it's just kind of lost a little of what it had. So I need to be careful when I come to paint the wings. I don't think, like, the body and the arms can stay as they are, but it's the wings I want to just adjust how they look. Similarly with the Nuktelben. Actually, the Nuktelben are coming out really nicely. All of the details that I picked out in different colours are kind of defined as to what they are, and the skin as well does still have some of that variation, not a lot. We've got the shading still present there, but just everything is darker. I can definitely see purple from the underneath. A little bit of purple from level. I think I've lost a lot of the red, actually. We also have on the table the Vogelspinne. Let's just adjust focus because that's a slightly larger model. What I did off stream was I popped on some decals. So I just used the red one from the Konflikt 47 set. And I've put that on every single one of the turrets. So anti-air turret. I made sure that the anti-air turret moves nice and smoothly, because that's just a fun thing. If you haven't built a Vogelspinne, highly recommended. It's a really cool model, especially when it comes to the anti-air turret, because that just moves so smoothly. You can imagine it following a plane around, trying to gun it down. Lots of fun. But realistically, this is the only turret that it's ever going to be used with, because that is the Maschinengewehr energy gun, and it is just ridiculously powerful for the points cost. I would love for the Sasori to be in the same class as this, except rather than being 100 points more expensive and less good. But we've had that argument before. We also have in front of me, I can show these off. These will be my video for this week. Usually I don't have them on the painting desk while I'm streaming. Very, very dark at the moment, because they also need a lot of highlighting work. But this is a Rolls-Royce armoured car. This is a Citroen Congress armoured car. And this is the T-Bowser that I showed off last week. Unfortunately, it's come a cropper on its way to deliver its tea to the front lines. And so it will become a terrain piece instead, but well on the way. So long as I can get those, it's just a little bit of paintwork and then editing a video about them, and that will be my video for next week. But for the stream today, we have some Stahltruppen. And I said as I was going to be using my light green, which is a kind of not quite a teal colour, but very close to teal, very nice colour. I'm going to mix it with a little black and give it a highlight and see how well that looks. And then I might give it a second go with unmixed, just to see how much better or worse that looks as well. And I need some water for my wet palette. And probably should refresh my paint water as well. I always worry that I get excessive with the amount of water I put in the wet palette, and then a few minutes later it's all soaked up. Your wet palette definitely takes more water than you think it does. Although I've now got water all over the paper. Klevik says, Ed, maybe we're only 2 people who use Revell paints. In the wargaming hobby, quite possibly. The railway guys absolutely love Revell. It's like the paint for the railway, like dioramas and kind of train line boards and that kind of thing. They love their Revells. Yeah, it was definitely worth getting rid of that paper. That was soggy. New paper. I just have a little scrap because that's all I have handy, but that's plenty. Yes, thanks, Andre, for reminding me of that little debacle. So, how has that come out? Yeah, looks good. Let's grab some of that. So the thing about the Revell paint specifically is the quality is pretty good. Like, a lot of paint companies have paint that is quality, that is good, so that's not immediately anything special. The pricing is fair, and prices of other companies range from far too much to not quite cheap, so again, not particularly interesting. The pots are really interesting, if terrible. So one thing I like about the pot, there's several good designed elements about the pot. So if you see it's on this angle, the actual cap is directly straight down. It's just it has this on kind of structure on one side. So to open the pot, you just grab the pot with one hand, grab it with the other, and twist. And that will cam up that surface and easily pop off the lid. So it doesn't really matter how dried out or kind of gunky your paint is. You will be able to at least get it open to check. You also have this little tab here and that little slot here in the lid, and so what you can do is you can connect them together like that, and you have a little dry palette, so you can grab some paint out, mix it down here, and you can paint from there. So you can paint from the pot and also paint from a dry palette at the same time. It's an interesting concept. I don't know if I don't think I've ever used... I think I've used it once just to test it out, but I don't think I really think it's a good, useful concept. It's just a nice idea that they came up with. The real problem, however, is this. You end up with paint around the edge here, which then naturally gets under here, and around here, and around here, and it breaks the seal. So even with the lid all the way on and all the way down, it dries out. In fact, you can see on my teal here, I can push that down and it's not going all the way down because it's got dried paint. Yeah, you can see loads of it all the way around here. And then, yeah, in here, in here. It's a shame because it's a really nice idea, nice concept, but it just didn't work, unfortunately. Right, so if I leave that there, you can actually see the wet palette while I'm doing this. So I want to have relatively bright, but I want to tone it down with the black. There we go, that's about right. So I only needed a tiny, tiny bit of the black. So now let's start painting on this and see how it looks. Yeah, I think this is as bright as I want to go. I might try some specular highlights out of unmixed paint. Yeah, let's try... Not convinced. Andre says, speaking of reminding you, you need to paint some yellow lenses later. Yellow lenses. On what? Clevex says, each batch is different, didn't like it at all. Some of them caused huge paint cracks on models. I've never seen a paint crack out of the Revell paints. They've been very, for me, in my experience, they've been very consistent. I will say the Revell brown, the dark brown, is a favourite of mine. I think the label on mine has actually disintegrated. Yeah, you can't read the actual name of the paint. It's got the description down at the bottom, but that's it. Clovic says, or like with my Brits, they look like they wore woolen coat that scratches all over your body. What, just out of the paint? I don't think I've had that with any brand of paint, let alone like Revell or anything. So the only time I've ever had any like physical texture being generated by acrylic paint is painting skin. And that's not because of any given skin paint, it's because my I was painting too quickly, basically. So I paint one layer and then immediately go into the next highlight layer, and I would be painting the second layer while the first layer is still drying. And that would tear up skin pretty badly, like the paint on the skin pretty badly, and that would look pretty awful. Andre says, you asked for a reminder 2 streams ago for the goggles on these guys. Oh, is it these guys? You want me to paint these guys with yellow? Yellow goggles. We can try one in yellow. I also haven't decided how I want to do the because I want to do a little bit of freehand on the chest. It's not going to be like a super elaborate one, it's going to be a fairly simple one, but just something to just an icon for the unit. And I'm thinking a dragon's claw, and that's because when I did my painting competition one, I painted a little dragon's claw. Not very good because I painted it very quickly without any reference. But if I can work out how I would actually want to do that, come up with a decent sketch of a plan, that would be good. Clovic says, read my first comment where I'm talking about primers, not river. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, there's definitely you can have issues with primer. I find that the most common issues that I have with primer is the temperature of the can. Clovic says, you probably have the same bug like me where some comments won't be shown in chat. No, I'm just trying to read every comment as they kind of in order rather than jumping around, because if I miss one, I will just get confused and miss them forever. Yeah, I pretty much universally have to, even in summer, a lot of the time I have to warm the can. Just run some hot water from the tap, not boiling water, not from the kettle, nothing like that. Just a little bit of warm water from the tap, and leave the can in there for a minute. Give it a shake. Make sure it feels kind of warm-ish, because it usually says on the can that it's optimized for use at like 25 to 30 degrees. And so if your room temperature is 20 degrees, be nice, comfortable, will feel nice and warm, but it's colder than it really needs to be for the can. How are we looking? That is basically what I was looking for. We're on the right track. I definitely need to pick out some different colours for the mask, for the ammunition, and for his weapon over here. So there's plenty to do. But this is very much that kind of strong cartoony outline is definitely what I was going for. And that's what we're getting. Just need to make sure I keep a nice thin line. Yeah, looking good. I mean, I probably shouldn't be using a synthetic brush for this. I'd be able to be a bit more consistent with a natural fiber brush. But I'm just about managing it. Andre says, have you ever undercoated with acrylic instead of primer? I did it once and it looks fine, but I don't know how it holds up in play as does the display model. Yeah, that's a trend that's been going around recently. And it's basically a marketing ploy from Games Workshop. Because in the magazine, I don't know what it's called. They do a magazine run where you get like a sprue every 3 weeks and a pot of paint every few weeks and a brush. And over the course of 3 years, you've spent £10,000 and you've got like a 5,000 point army for whatever game it is. But because it's a magazine and it'll be on shop shelves, they can't sell primer as part of it, like a spray can, because that's a pressurized container. There are many places in the EU where that's restricted to 18 plus. It's also restricted in terms of transport and other things. And so what Games Workshop have done, instead of saying, hey, you can get primer from here and here and there and the other place, and why not come into a Games Workshop shop and buy some primer? They've just pretended that primer doesn't exist. It's weird. Absolutely weird. John Shepherd, hey, welcome to the stream. How you doing? So it has a number of effects, like priming versus not priming. And I find getting the first layer of paint to stick without primer is a bit kind of hairy. A bit difficult, rather. But once you get past that first layer, all of the rest of the layers become just fine. Because you're used to painting paint on top of paint, and so once you get some paint down on the model, you are then painting paint on top of paint, and it feels normal again. So that first layer of paint, getting it to stick, getting it to go on evenly and smoothly, is very difficult, because I've seen a lot of people trying this where they are just gumming up the model with loads and loads of very thick paint, not watered down, because if you water it down it won't stick. So just unthinned paint, getting some paint on the model, and then painting over the top of that. The second thing you find, and you don't find this out for several months, is that every time you pick up the model, every time you move it around, every time you put it into a box with some foam to transport it to your game, the paint rubs off a lot quicker. Maybe not a lot quicker, maybe that's unfair, but quicker than it would do with primer. I have heard of people using varnishes, so not priming the model and then starting off without, and just going straight into the painting, and then once the painting is done, getting a varnish layer on, and the varnish provides a hard surface that can protect the paint. However, even in that situation, you're not like the varnish is on a normal model is being held on by the primer, because the varnish is stuck to the paint, it's stuck to the paint, it's stuck to the paint, it's stuck to the primer, it's stuck to the model. Whereas if you have varnish stuck to layers of paint stuck to directly to the model, then even the varnish is weakened by not having primer. So for a display model that you're never going to touch, you're going to leave it in a shelf, it's probably fine. If you can get that first layer on smoothly, if you can paint it and make it look good, then that's fine. It will not be wearing away the paint because you're not touching it very much. So again, you're probably fine. But for a gaming model, absolutely not. And every single model I own, even my display models, can be pulled out and used in a game at a moment's notice. And so they all better be primed, and they all better be... I don't go crazy with a varnish, just a single coat. Right. I'm going to catch up on chat. John Shepherd joined us, says, Biddy painting 28mm plastic Dark Age models with Temu paint pens. So, essentially heavy washes, yeah. Klovic says, all goes Atlantic maybe. John Shepherd says, Dark Age Army Builder box, late Roman Army, and some Goths. Nice. I have, in both 1:72 and 28mm scale, I've got a bunch of Celts. I need to get a decent chariot, or maybe two, because I just haven't decided on a chariot. I might actually have. Oh yeah, I do. Some 172. Tiny little... Look at how big these guys are. So these are Airfix, and they are horrible. The plastic that they're made out of, even with a primer layer, just doesn't paint very well. And I've not really worked out why. There's definitely a case of a lot of different materials. I like some, and I don't like others. And I've never really nailed down the exact reasons, kind of the basis behind it. But this kind of rubbery plastic you get from Airfix infantry, oh, I just absolutely despise it. But yeah, Celts. I think I've got the in 28mm. I've got the Warlord Games Britons, and I've got the Bad Squiddo Boudica. Which is a really cool model. John says, prime black by brush using Vallejo surface primer, then dry brush light grey so you can see the details. My favourite is the high coat, which is like a automotive, like cars primer for that kind of work. But as long as you warm the can, it goes on nice and thin, and so it works really nicely. It's extremely strong, and yeah, it goes on thin so it doesn't mess up any detail. But I always, up until the last time I bought some, because I did an order for a few of us, and so I got different colour from what I normally do, but I normally go for grey. And that's because if you have black or if you have white, all of the detail is completely washed out and it's very hard to read until you start painting. Whereas if you prime in grey, everything is just so much more visible. Hey Yuli, welcome to the stream. Nice to have you by. Yeah, I don't have any of the starter armies. I just bought the individual box of models. So I've got, well, it's 40 in the box, and I gave a few sprues away, so I've probably got 20, 25 left, but about just over half the box. Yuli says Stahltruppen looks awesome. Yeah, I'm really liking how this cartoony outline is going down. So this is my original from the painting competition, and you can see I've kind of gone along the same lines, but I've pushed it much further. This has a much bluer highlight, whereas this, the teal mixed with a little bit of black, is really desaturating it, but it's still managing to be quite bright. And you can see that it's blue in person. I guess, yeah, this camera desaturates stuff as well, which is a shame. But once I've done things like the mask and all the other details around it, it's going to end up just looking pretty good. The back automatically is going to look better than this one, because this one just had one coat of watered down black paint, and that's it. So all of this where it's kind of got white highlights, those aren't deliberate highlights. That's just where the paint has worn away as I was moving it around, because I was holding it in my hand like this while I was painting it, and constantly rubbing on the back with my fingers, and that's where all of that comes from. It kind of looks like I did it on purpose. It's this really basic highlight that you do that deliberately and then paint up from there. But obviously, given that I had 10 minutes to paint the whole model, I just focused on the front. Konflikt said, our video about the Empire of Japan did well. 500 views, 34 likes, and 25 comments. Yes. Half of those comments are you, though, so it's actually more like 12. I always do that for my own videos, cut it in half. I try to respond to every comment. I don't always manage it. Even though I poured half of the sea into this wet palette this morning, or at the start of the stream actually, I still think, surprisingly, it's gone dry. So I might need to top up a little bit more. Yeah, another thing I do when I'm looking at my stats is like the number of views. I'll go and look at the percentage watch time, and I'll divide the number of views by that. Because if the watch time is like 30 something %, which is about normal for my channel, that means for every 3 views, one person actually watched it. But if I have a bad video, it might be, instead of 35%, it might be 25%. So 1 in every 4 people watched it. I don't think I've ever had anything really much above 35%. And I think that's partly because of how YouTube works. Like, if you're scrolling on YouTube and a video starts to autoplay, like just in the thumbnail, like on a menu, you know how when you just get a little kind of part of the video playing as you're on the menu still, that counts as a view. No one's watching a video in a menu. How does that count as a view? Anyway, yeah, it was. I've had a few people kind of message me about it, and it seems to have gone down fairly well. I think it was relatively clear and concise as to what we were discussing, and I have the experience to give a pretty solid starter for kind of a new player. I was hoping that you were gonna grab Mike and do the same kind of video for the American box. And see if you can grab someone else to do the British and the Axis box as well. It'd be nice to see different people's points of view on the starter sets. Yuli says, that's an awesome pose, not even a kit bash, just posed well. Capture movement really well. Is that this one, who is charging forwards and about to punch someone in the face? Or is that this one that's paused and holding position, getting ready to launch a Panzerfaust and already has the reload ready? Possibly waiting around a corner ready to jump out at someone. This one I like. Where's my... this one. My Han Solo pose. That one's one of my favourites. Oh, this brush, man. Synthetic brushes just dry out so quickly. Just don't hold water. Just don't hold water. Yuli says, currently using Soviet Mark II armor to represent Mark I. Although being a kit basher at heart, I'm constant hunt for a good base Mark I. Looking at Stahltruppen, not sure yet. I think Stahltruppen are probably a bit big for that. I definitely prefer the look of the Mark IIs. Not that I dislike the Mark Is, but it's just like the Mark Is are a bit like weird Wild West, as opposed to weird World War II. It's kind of like if the game was Konflikt 1874, then yeah, those would be great. But yeah, Mark I's with little cut down heavy machine guns. What would a cut down ED-SKaR look like? I'm talking like you take a bolt action and you obrez it. I want to know what an obrezed ED-SKaR looks like. Just how short can you make it and have it still function? Shorten the gas tube. Pull off the stock. We don't need that because we're in the power armor. Throw away the heat shield. Don't need that because we're in power armor. Would look pretty cool actually. basically you take the receiver of a ED-SKaR, half of the length of the gas tube, less than half the length of the barrel, so the barrel's only just a little bit longer than the gas tube. Everything off of the back, throw that away. And there you go. Mark IIs. Sorry, Mark II conversion into Mark I. Clubex says, was thinking to do US starter set video with Mike because he loves the US faction. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he'll do it as well. And if you need me to help out with a silly little intro, I can voice a British automaton that gets gunned down by some fireflies or a linebacker. Like, this is the edge highlighting that I always want to do, but I always hold back because it looks very, very silly in a historical model. But for something like Stahltruppen and the Vogelspinner that I'll do in exactly the same way, it's a fun way to paint. Oh, too much. I need to make sure I'm careful with this because while it's quick and easy to do, it does need a little bit of care because otherwise you end up making an absolute mess, just like I did there. Yudi says, hate the look of the Mark 1s. Weird Wild West is the perfect way to describe them. I kind of do like them. It's just, yeah, I just don't think they really sell the 1940s vibe. Headcanon is they don't have two heavy machine guns. They just have a twin-linked one on one arm so they can reload it. It would be funny to have the double gun ones not actually having a double gun. They've just got like or is it in Predator where the minigunner has like a backpack of ammunition? All of the other guys, they have one gun and they've got the normal belt box, like 150 round belt, and then they have to stop and reload it. Whereas that one guy in the squad, he has a backpack with 2,000 rounds in it. So he doesn't have to stop to reload. So he can just go ham. So it's not that he doesn't get twice the amount of shots per turn because he's got two guns. He's got twice the amount of shots per turn because he doesn't have to let go of the trigger. Ammo conservation? Ilya, what is ammo conservation? No. Andre said, some folks have a handgun. Yuli has a head cannon. I do love my head cannons. I have quite a few on quite a few different subjects. especially when it comes to the actual concept of fiction itself. Oh, that'll need fixing later. Klubik says, sure mate, no clue what kind of Le Funny could do for Americans. Not sure how I came up with the Empire of Japan intro myself. Well, think of the concept of it. It's Japanese officer appears out of nowhere, blades up some of the Americans and then disappears off. So the similar kind of thing would be have a couple of British kind of regular infantrymen and then American fireflies just zoom over the top, gun down the Brits, and then that's kind of consistent in the same style. Just come up with a little bit of a script for what the Brits are saying to each other. Oh, that Jack, man, that Jack. Bloody Yanker. So, what? He's an American? Yeah. That's why we call him the Yanker. Because he's an American, and he's a bit of a... There you go, there's your script. Do you want that in chav or in, like, posh Brit? Oh, by Jove. That uncouth yank. That uncouth yank. Yep, there we go. That's 2 done. It looks like the Stahltruppen are going to take just as long as the fireflies, because this step is taking time. What are we at? We're at 8:15. Which means when did I? It was about 8:15 that I sorted out the stream, wasn't it? So it's something like an hour, and I've painted 2 of them. So if I can paint 4 per live stream, and I've got 18, 20, I can't remember, a few. a number. Another thing I should mention, did anyone watch my improving the fireflies video? Because that, and it didn't get that many views, but it's not like it got terrible views. But nobody's actually commented on it, which is odd. Usually I get a few more comments on a video than that. I don't necessarily need like loads of comments, but it's just unusual to have none. Cloic says he did. Good. At least someone watched it. I don't mind so much if that video was doesn't do well, because it was a kind of thrown together video in a way. I mentioned last week that I didn't have a good idea what video would be out this week, and I possibly might even miss one. Well, I managed to not miss it, but that does mean that the actual, it's a fairly short video as well. Maybe that's part of it. Yeah, there's not as much video as there usually is in my videos. I like the idea of starting conversations, though, starting people thinking about what it means to paint a model. Don't just follow the common way of thinking. Free your mind. The only thing you have to lose is your chains or something. Andre says, not yet, but I will. Saving some videos to watch in hospital next Thursday. Oh, that's a shame. But yeah, hopefully my video cheers you up a little bit while you're locked up. Yudi says, did YouTube change how it handles streams? I can no longer scroll back through the stream or through the chat, because that's interesting. I had a whole bunch of problems getting the stream to start. Like, my OBS was just fine. I ended up having to almost like hack workaround sort of thing on YouTube to get it to work, and just something I accidentally fell across. Basically, I opened the stream twice at the same, like concurrently, two times open at the same time. So yeah, it took me, what was it, half an hour? It took me half an hour to get the stream actually started today. So YouTube's had some issues, and I have no idea what those issues are, where they are, whether it's my channel or kind of to do with my encoder or just a platform issue. Given that I'm currently streaming, I'm not able to look up if other people are complaining about similar things. Yudi says, scroll back through the stream. Yeah, that could be... It could be related to the issues we were having at the start of the stream. This stream does have some weirdness about it. See, it's not just my brush that's drying out too quick. My wet palette is not playing ball today. Klubik says, getting an IV for iron deficiency. Well, I hope it goes well. Whatever it is, it's doesn't sound too serious, but yeah, hope it goes well. Yeah, you'll notice that on the green for the cloaks, I did actually give it a little bit of a light green dry brush already. I might add to it, or I might leave that alone, depends on how everything else looks. given that there are 3 of them with various bits of cloth hanging off. And given that those 3 are also the officers, the characters, I'm probably not going to give these guys the same treatment as my fireflies in terms of... Wow, that just dried out just instantly. Trying to follow chat and also paint at the same time. See, if Klovik has a lead deficiency, we can definitely solve that. There you go. Sorry if you replied about the Mark 1s, I missed it. We did talk about the Mark 1s a little bit. I got talking about cut down dushkas because that's just a cool idea that I now really want to do. I do have a dushka SDL, so I might see if I can muck around with that and make a cut down dushka. How's that? About it. It's a bit of an overly bright spot on this corner, so let's fix that. Yep, that looks better. They're looking pretty cool down there. They're a bit out of focus for you at the moment. But these guys are looking cool getting stacked up. Let's do... Yeah, let's do Han Solo. Try and scroll back to that spot. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's probably just YouTube throwing funny business. If it's stuff happening for you as well, it might be a bigger issue than just like problems with my stream. It might just be a problem with YouTube servers today. hopefully, once the stream ends and it becomes a VOD, you'll be able to scroll through and find the bit that you missed. Oh yeah, Yuli, as you're here now, maybe. What did you think of my like fixing up the fireflies video? It was a very quick last minute kind of edit, but the actual kind of work I did on the fireflies characters, I think I did a good job of improving them. But just looking at them side by side, it's like they're not that much nicer, even though I spent probably twice as long on them as I have on everyone else, kind of model for model wise. Klovek is recruiting for his army. Yuli says, let me review it real quick and I'll go back to you. You don't have to watch it now. You can watch it after the stream. Or whenever. That whole big bulb of paint I put down, and I was like, this is so much paint. I'm never going to get through that in all of these models. Well, I've painted, this is number 4, and I've run out. It's too late, man. We're boosting all kind of stats on your channel. Yeah, I wonder if going from a live stream to a video, like if YouTube recognizes that someone's doing that and what that actually means for engagement. Because obviously going to the video will count as a view, but like so Andre says, and I'm gonna fish out the translation. Andre says Vogelspinner proxy Klovek, responding to Klovek going and finding a live spider to join his ranks. But YouTube has automatically translated it to tarantula proxy, which makes a lot of sense because Vogelspinner is the German word for tarantula. But Klovek's name has been turned to human. So on here the translation is tarantula proxy human ? That is just very funny. Can you taxidermy a spider? Probably. Is having the wet palette down here out of focus any value whatsoever? Because there's no way I can focus on 2 different focal planes at the same time, short of getting another camera and pointing that at the wet palette. Klovek, don't worry, that's my neighbours. I've got the window open because it's a touch warm. I'm sure that other YouTubers who will be streaming today will be absolutely crying about the heat. but I just, you know, deal with it. Yuli has just gone off and watched one of my videos at double time, I assume, and has rushed back with a review of my review video, or a review of the video. Alright, video watched. Question is whether the time was well spent. I may not always be the best person to ask, as I overspent and have mostly unpainted armies. Well, I have a lot of unpainted stuff, and my unpainted pile keeps getting bigger every year. I keep counting it and it just gets bigger every year. With that said, I think they look noticeably after the extra time spent, especially Roberta. The Robertas do look quite different because of the shirt colour and the hair colour being essentially unpainted beforehand. I do think the quality of that, because I kind of I painted it by itself, is better. But it's not like I've display painted them or anything like that. They don't look like super fantastically amazing. I just wanted them to stand out against the regular guys. Which I kind of think they do. Yuli says they look noticeably better. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That was the goal of that paint job. The video was a bit thrown together, but I'd already been working on the painting beforehand. Klobik says the translation thing is for streamers. Oh, Andre says that you don't see the translation. Yeah, so on our end, like when we're streaming, we'll get like a comment will be translated and we'll just get the translated version. But sometimes it's translating things that it doesn't need to. But it does throw up a symbol. And if I just scroll up and describe the symbol for you, it looks like a Japanese kanji with then a capital letter A superfixed in the corner of it. Superposed in the corner of it. And that just lets us know that it has been translated. So I can hover over it and immediately see, without clicking, I just hover over it and it immediately shows me what the original comment was. And I like that because it means I can just bypass a bad translation. I have yet to have the translation actually be like fundamentally useful. It's almost always translating things that aren't like relevant. Like things like translating Vogelspinne to tarantula makes sense if you don't know that the model is called Vogelspinne in German, even in the English version of the rules. Like, it's kind of part of the point that we're using the German language version. It's why I call the Sassari and not Scorpion, because we're using the Japanese. And I'll be using the same for the other nations' stuff. Like, I'll call all of the Soviet stuff, I'll refer to it in its Russian language, and all of the American stuff, I'll have to translate all of the English into American so that we can do the same for them. Andre says it sounds like the languages symbol on Wikipedia. It might be, yeah. I don't know that symbol specifically, but it might be that YouTube have used a previously existing symbol for it. See, and now the dogs have come out to play. So, for anyone who wants to see Cerberus versus werewolves, we're going to get the audio drama version of that now. Yuli says, they look like a solid A+ tabletop paint job. If you're getting them ready for an Instagram, that's different. Yeah, they're not really Instagram famous kind of models. Speaking of which, I haven't posted on my Instagram in forever. I do have one, but I just don't use it. I'm not a like influencer, world famous celebrity with an Instagram page and a TikTok channel and then everything else. Just can't be dealing with that. Klevik is surprised that I have an Instagram. Yeah, I do. Is my Instagram linked in the description? Because I actually can't remember what I put in the description. Interesting. So I've got an option to change the title, but not the description. Oh, no, there it is. So, PayPal link. Video on the painting handle, this painting handle, Thingiverse and cults. Okay, so it's not in there. I used to link it in the video, but in the video descriptions. But I guess what I should mention now that we're talking about links in the description, I have a donation link in there. Thank you so much, Clove, for bringing that up. We should talk about my donation link because. Obviously, I'm a world famous YouTuber, and I don't know where I was going with that. Tempted to come back in with a little bit of silver on some of these pistons. I'm not sure if it really matters because the dark black and the silver are gonna kind of disappear into each other. Klevik says, have a donation link through Streamlabs, not through PayPal. People still pay the same way, card or PayPal, so yeah. But here's the thing, what percentage does Streamlabs take? Because on mine, on the PayPal link, it takes 0%, so I get all of them. Because YouTube takes something like 60%. Of a super chat or something like that. %2. That's fine. That's not too bad. That's an admin fee, yeah. Or 0%. That's bad. But I considered making a PayPal. Someone mentioned this years ago that I should make a PayPal. Not PayPal, Patreon. And I thought about it, and it's like, there's a lot of effort goes into making a Patreon. And how much realistically would it actually bring in for all of the effort that I'm putting into it? And I thought, well, rather than dismiss it, if I start up a PayPal link, that'll at least let me test, like, do I have enough of an audience to pay anything? Because if someone's going to pay a super chat on a stream, or a monthly fee on a Patreon, well, sending a PayPal donation is even easier. So if people aren't going to do that, then there's no point me setting up anything higher than that. And so far, I've received, in probably 2 years of having it, 3 people have donated to it. So, not worth my time. not worth my time. It's a bit of fun though. Thankfully, YouTube is not my job. I don't need to make any money here. I'm just here to paint models and have fun and chat with you guys. We can just leave it at that. So what I'll probably do is I'll smash on with this last one. This will be number 5, and then I'll end the stream because it will definitely be gone 9 o'clock by the time I finish this. Ah, this guy has the one of the Vogelspinner heads, the commander's head for the Vogelspinner. That is way too bright right there. That whole section there is way too much. There we go. That's about right. It's kind of like painting eyes in a way, or at least the way that I paint eyes. Clavek sent me a donation. Thank you very much. I shall check on that after the stream. Yeah, see, I should complain about things more often, because then someone will help. Well, that makes it 4. Yeah, usually PayPal fee is pretty mad. Especially if you're... if it's a professional payment, like for goods or services kind of thing, and it's going through a different currency, good grief, PayPal can get expensive as a percentage. I can't remember what the handling fee for a change of currency is for PayPal. I think it's like an additional 12%. So whatever the percentage is originally, there's another 12% just for changing a currency. Is that right? Not 100% on that. That might be wrong. Why are there so many panels on the boots? No one cares about the boots. Dear sculptors, no one cares about the boots. No one cares about shoes. Konflikt says there are people who care about shoes. Well, that's fine for them, I guess. Everyone's allowed to like their own thing. Yeah, Konflikt says that you can get alerts for Streamlabs donations, and I could technically get an alert for the PayPal donation, but I just don't have it set up. If people start donating loads and loads of stuff to me, then I'll set up a proper thing. Yudi says, is the base color dark green or NATO green? Actually, surprisingly not. The reason why the base color of this looks green, and it definitely is, you are right, it does look green, is because of an interaction between the paints that I use. So this is a dark blue-grey, sorry, this is a desaturated blue-grey that I use, and I use this on all of my World War II Axis infantry uniforms and vehicles, and I usually mix it with black to darken it down a lot. And then this is my brown wash, which obviously is settled, but there you go, you can see it's a fairly dark brown wash. Now, the interaction between this specific brown and this specific blue-grey brightens a green pigment in there somewhere, and so I always end up with a green look. Because there's no specifically green, because this is blue-grey and this is brown, but both of them have green in them somewhere. But the weird thing is, if I use this wash on any other colour, including other blues that I have, including the teal, that's very similar colour to that, like it's much bright, it's much more saturated, but it's similar. It doesn't happen. So this interaction doesn't do it. It's only this interaction that does it. This wash on any other paint and any other wash on this. I've even had another brown wash that I have that I've used on this paint, and it doesn't have the same effect. Very interesting. It's a weird it's just a weird interaction between these specific pigments in these two. But there's also a lot of teal underneath the armor, and you kind of, it's almost like it's green around the edge and grey in the middle where I've used the teal, because the teal isn't having that green effect, even though that blue-grey is underneath it. Yeah, they're looking very good. Well, my wet palette has dried out again, so I'm not going to get to finish this guy. I basically only had his arm and his back to do. I was most of the way through. Given that we're coming up to 9 o'clock, I will end the stream. So if anyone has any questions, please ask them now. I'm going to have to pick out all of the... I mentioned these pots earlier in the stream. I'm going to have to dig out the paint on that, clean it up, so that it closes properly. Andre raises a good point. Says, until further notice, the stream stays on Mondays. I did put out a community post, so if anyone hasn't read that, please do go and check on that. I am considering changing the days and the times that I have my video and... Bark, 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 bark. Bark, bark, bark. Yes, we get it. Shh. So, at the moment, I currently stream on a Monday night, 7 till 9 UK time, and my video goes out midday on Saturday. And the change that I'm considering is to move the stream to Saturday, because then I can push it back by a couple of hours. Probably start it at 8 and run on till maybe even 10 o'clock. Or 11 o'clock to have a little bit of extra time, but also it'll be slightly later in the day, and it's also on a Saturday, which means maybe more people can watch the stream. But that, I don't want to put the stream and the video on the same day, so if I do make that change, where does the video go? Does the video go to Wednesday, which is like the opposite point from Saturday? I don't like that, because it is very much the lowest views happen on a Wednesday. So if I'm getting no views on the first day, the video's not going to pick up at all. But if I put it on a Friday, which is probably my Friday, Saturday is the busiest time of the week according to my channel stats. But if I put the video on the Friday, then it's immediately Friday, Saturday is video and then stream back to back, and then the rest of the week is empty. So that doesn't really work either. I really very haven't decided on this. And it might be the case of I never decide and I just leave it how it is. Which may be how we go. But if anyone has any kind of solution for this, other than clearly I need to make 6 videos a week and stream on the 7th day, that would just fix all the problems. Nice and balanced. Not going to happen. I can't put out that much content. I have a full-time job to deal with. So for the moment, I'm not changing anything. If I do change things, I will make sure people are aware in advance so that I can, so I can plan things out and let people know that things are going to be changing. Yuli says wargame paints are usually a mix of pigments. That's why all of the artist paints a single pigment to give more control to the artist. Really like the green on these, whether it's intentional or not. In this case, it was intentional. Because I know that interaction happens, and it's the same with all of the other paints that I use. I know how they behave with other paints. So this brown, for example, Revell Aquacolor, so it's an acrylic water-based paint, dark brown. I think it's leather brown, but it's worn off, so I can't actually tell you what one it is. This mixes fantastically with just about every paint. It mixes with bright blue, it mixes with green and yellow, it mixes with black even. Just everything it mixes with, it comes out lovely. But I've got a lot of paints that I know that there are certain interactions that work really well, certain interactions that desaturate heavily, some that don't really change the paint at all. Kind of, it's almost like the more and more I mix in, it's like I'm just adding more of the same paint. It hasn't changed in hue. Very, very strange. So long as you know how your paint is going to interact with each other, and if you try a paint mix, like a mix of paints, you can just test it out on a spare bit of sprue, primer sprue, and just paint over that to see how things interact. So it is something. It's not a problem. It's just something that you incorporate into your process. At least that's how I do things. Yuli says, since we're talking about it, I say that I personally don't watch a ton of YouTube content on the weekends. Just my habits and schedule. Streams and videos during the week work for me much better. Okay, that's interesting to know. So a video, even if I publish it on a weekend, you can watch it on the Monday or the Tuesday. Video doesn't go anywhere. Whereas the stream, you wouldn't be able to join in, and the whole point of a stream is that you are there at the time and join in. And people watch VODs of streams all the time, but it's different from actually watching it live. Clubex says no questions at all. That's absolutely fine. Thanks for popping past. Andre says do whatever works best. I just hope it stays in the evening for me. GMT +1. Yes, it will do. It may. The what I was considering as the best option for the stream was to push it back a little bit, so it would be later in the evening, probably pushing midnight for you actually. But it wouldn't be anywhere near as late as some other people streaming into like 6 o'clock in the morning. Definitely not doing that. Yudi says on the west coast of America, if that helps. Time zones were discussed. Yeah, that's another thing. I want to make sure that the time that I put out the video and the time that I put out the stream is most convenient for the most people, but also convenient for me because I have to be here when I stream, and it also fits into my week better if I have a video out to publish on a certain time. And that's why I kind of want to make a change, because I kind of think I can improve things, but also I can't figure out exactly what the best way is. So I may end up just not changing. Clubex says won't complain about it. Stream time, you know how my streams go. Anytime, any day. Yeah. I checked it what was it, 3 o'clock in the morning when I woke up because the neighbour's dog was going. And I was like, where the hell is Club Extreming? Because 3 o'clock a.m. for me is like 5 o'clock a.m. for you, I think. Or 6. Yuli says, basically the white and black in both paints mix and become grey at that. So, no. I know what you mean, and you're absolutely right. But the interaction that I think you're referring to that I was talking about, it's a yellow paint and a... yeah, it's a yellow and my light brown. So I was trying to mix in the light brown so that I could smooth it out and then highlight up into yellow. But the more brown I add, it just looks yellow. I'm guessing that the light brown has quite a lot of yellow in it, which makes a lot of sense. But I just couldn't darken it, even slightly. It just looked like this bright, vibrant yellow, even when it was 1 part yellow to like 9 parts brown. It was just the bright yellow still. Yeah, I guess there is probably white in that a lot. So it's the whatever other pigments are making the brown are just very subtle, and it works in the brown, but it doesn't work when mixed with the yellow. Well, we are now past 9 o'clock. We have had some questions, so I will close up my wet palette, which is not much of a wet palette today. Like, look at this. This is what I've been dealing with for the past hour. Look, that is a dry flake of paint on the top of my wet palette. I put this paper down during the stream. This is less than 2 hours old, and it's dried like that. I have never had that happen that quickly. That just goes to show how hot it is and how dry it is in kind of weather conditions at the moment. If a wet palette is just not keeping up. So, streaming next week will be the usual time. I will keep it the same for the moment. I'm not making any changes yet. So that will be Monday night, and we'll carry on with the Stahltruppen, specifically starting with this one. I do have a video on the way, and it will be these guys. A couple of armoured cars and a T-Bowser going to the front lines and has got destroyed on the way. I'm basically making some terrain pieces to give to my local gaming group, and they're halfway done at the moment, so I need to finish them on. I need to finish them up and finish the video. I've already started editing the video, but there we go. I love the Rolls Royce. It is just the coolest thing. I dropped it while I was doing the base for this, and I smashed up the fender wheel arch, whatever this is called. Smashed it up, but I found some of the bits and glued them on, and it just works perfectly. So this one is Wargaming 3D. I did a video on the Cromwell tank that they sent me. They also sent me this as a kind of a thank you, so that's for them. The French Citron Tigres, or Kriges, I think, is from Thingiverse. This is a 1:100 scale kit that I've scaled up, so it's fairly low resolution, low detail for 28mm, but it kind of works. And this is just the funkiest looking armored car that I've ever seen. I saw this thing a few years ago. I went on a bit of a spree of what weird armored cars do I like, and I was like, I just love stupid looking armored cars, and I found the Rolls Royce, and it's like that thing is just so cool looking. I found some others that are just absolutely wonky, and this turned out to be my favorite. Little French armored car. It's only got a light machine gun, 2 shots per turn in 3rd edition. Absolutely useless. Love it. Looks stupid. It's not even a proper armored car because it's a half track. Yeah, that's a track around the back, so it's not a proper armored car. It's so bad, and it's got I think this is a cable drum along the front. Mad. Klebek says, I remember I wanted to ask you, where did you get those vehicles? Were you sponsored by Wargaming 3D? So Wargaming 3D did sponsor one video for me, and that was the one on the Cromwell. And they sent me, basically, they said they'd give me 3 vehicles, STLs, and I'd make a video out of one of them. And I chose the Cromwell because that made the most sense at the time. The Rolls-Royce armoured car was one of the other ones, and it's a really nice, like, they do make good stuff. Generally they do, and the details come out pretty nicely. This one is technically a misprint. There's a bunch of stuff on the turret that got messed up, and the back also, like, is not supposed to look like that, but it's terrain, so it's fine, doesn't matter. I was actually going to paint this up for my Brits, but I just never got round to it. I printed these before 3rd edition, so this was in 2nd edition, and I've just never got round to it. So it's like, I may as well just turn them into a bit of terrain. I need some heavy terrain for my local group, so I just grabbed a few bits that I'm not going to ever get to, and that was that. Yeah. So, I'll end the stream then. Thank you very much to everyone for coming past. We've had a bit of fun. We've painted up some models. We've got another stream same time next week, and a video about some terrain on Saturday. So for now, I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.